Degloirespace signing in. Something that we talk about on this channel, and I've been asked a few times about why it's such an important topic for mindset, is religion. And there's a reason for that. You see, anything that is deeply ingrained in us, anything that we've been fed, not just from family, but even from society. Society's values have been built onto it. All these kind of things, we need to ask those questions, because if you don't, you just take those as givens. You think, oh, that's just the way it is. And when you're developing your deeper connection with your mindset, with what's going on inside you, you can't have anything that you just say, oh, that's just the way it is. We need to go inside ourselves. What if those things that were given to us are not just as they are? Why is it that there were people in the past, and funny enough, those are the people that religions were influenced from? Society is moving in one way, and then these people come and say, but that's not the way it is. And then later on, when these people first say their peace of mind, people disagree with them. And then years after they die, cults are created, religions are made out of those people. And that brings me to the question, is religion and religiousness the same thing? Following a religion is what most people do. But just because they follow a religion, does that mean that they are religious? You might follow a basketball team, but does that make you a basketballer? No. You're a follower of that thing. You just kind of like, yeah, you're there for the crowd. You're there for the hype. You're there for the excitement. But you personally, you're uninvolved in this thing. In a similar way, many people are followers of religion, but they're not religious. We need to look at what is religious. Firstly, let's look at the etymology of the word religion. It comes from the Latin origin, relegare, which means to rebind or reconnect. And the other meaning that it has is to read again or to consider carefully. So that's the origins of the word. Now let's just go that level. How many people who call themselves religious or follow a religion consider carefully, read again? I think you would agree with me to say that most people follow, and to them it's a club. Just like you go to a sports game and people gather there and there are people pro and against a team, same thing. And that explains even things like when they fight amongst each other. What's so different from them fighting amongst each other and when the Celtics and the Lakers fans fight each other? Of course, one of them is more dangerous because the Celtics and Lakers fans are not pushing each other to lifestyles, whereas the other ones, they are pushing each other to, this is the right way, and if you're not on this way, then and then it can lead to political unrest. So it's kind of like sports fans on steroids, but they themselves are not involved in religiousness. And that is very important to ask yourself. Ask yourself, when you consider the religion values that you adhere to, have you considered carefully? Have you read again? Or do you just follow? Someone tells you something, you're uninvolved. Oh, I follow this guy, so whatever this person tells me, that's what I do. I follow this culture, I was born here. And whatever they do, that's what I do. That's what's correct. You can never have a winning mindset with that kind of attitude. Unless, of course, you're aware of it, like in the sense that you're like, okay, cool, I belong to this tradition. When we're with the Romans, do as the Romans do, that kind of attitude. And you know what? I can understand that. Like, history has proven over and over again, most people function on a mob mentality. And this is what I'm basically talking about here. If you want success for yourself, inner connection, you can't be operating on a mob mentality. You can't be like, I'm gonna kill this guy because he's against my religion. You can't be that person. There are many people that are like that, but you can't be that person. I'm gonna kill this person because they're different. Haven't you noticed that you too are different to others? And so, in that sense, it's impossible to ignore religion, religiousness. Religiousness is core in mindset. It's core. You cannot function without it. Religiousness is you connecting with yourself to reconnect. And you might say to me, no, you're not connecting with yourself, you're connecting to God. Look, doesn't matter if you're going to connect to God or to yourself. You're going to have to connect to yourself either way. And the reason I will say connect to yourself is it's more tangible in the sense that it doesn't matter who's listening to me, what you call your God, whether you choose, some people get offended if you write God with a small g. Some people get offended if you call God God. They want another name. And apparently God has an identity. He went to school and that's what they told him, and that's who he is, and he said that's my name, and he spoke in English, and all that ridiculousness that comes along with it. And this is what we're basically saying here. How can you be involved in your inner connection and not ask yourself these questions, not go into that side of you, the spiritual side of you? We're all strong sometimes, but then there are times where we go through weaknesses. And when we go through weaknesses, that's when those deeper ideas will come and haunt us, if they are doing their thing or not. Sometimes we're surrounded by society, by people who, a social life. And then sometimes we're thrown into loneliness, where you need to dig deep in yourself. You don't know what life throws at you, and you can't just wait and say, when that happens, I'll deal with it. The reason why I say you can't wait, look, every single day you're alone, but you don't feel it, you don't give it energy, you try to ignore it. Every day we're faced with things that try to limit us. Every day there are questions that make us ask. Every day there are questions that want us to face something deeper about life. Now we ignore it. We fill it with noise, we fill it with distractions, but eventually, whatever you ignore is bound to surface. And a person who wants to expand themselves, wants to go beyond the known, beyond the norm, to go beyond the horizon that people have set for them, they need to face these questions. You can't avoid them. Degloirespace signing out.